species want to survive, when a new generation wants to survive, when a species is confronted or faced with a serious challenging circumstances that is panicking them, what they do is to study the life of the old, the life of the elders. Once you journey in the archive of the elders, you will see the experiential solutions to that problem panicking you. Respect for age in Africa is not recognition of wisdom. Respect for age in Africa is recognition of experiential solutions to your problems. And so in Africa today, we are confronted with serious challenge of hunger, disaster. We are confronted with serious challenges of crime, serious challenges of evil all over our society. And why is morality not finding expression today in our land? Why is hunger ravaging us? Then we travel back in the archive of the old. You now discover there is a pathway or the ancient truth our ancestors follow. And that ancient truth is what we deviated from, that is frustrating us today. That a man called Light of Africa arose and began to cry of renaissance. Renaissance is a verb, an action word of returning Africans back into that ancient truth. And the fundamental of that ancient truth is farming and agriculture. It's important for us to realize that the first fundamental of life is survival. The reason why we came to survive, we came on this earth, is to survive. And in all dealings on this earth, survival will forever override morality. The first fundamental of independence, the man who can take care of his stomach. Stomach is the first fountain of independence. When you want to make a man permanently your slave, the first thing you do is to put the man's stomach under your provision. Once all the man needed is under your provision, that man is permanently your slave. So when the white man entered Africa, the first thing they did was to destroy the instinct of agricultural and food production. That was the pathway that gave your ancestors the keys of running a life of independence. That there was Mazio Keke in the olden days with 4 wives and 37 children, and all are feeding comfortably well. This is the secret: agricultural food production. Mazio Keke is not a banker. Mazio Keke doesn't have, he's not a lawyer, he's not a doctor, there is no white man collar job he's doing, but everybody in the house is satisfied because the purpose of life is survival. The first thing the white man did in Africa when he came was he began to criminalize agriculture. So African young youths, we are enrolled into education system where agriculture becomes a punishment. If you come late to school, they say go and work in the farmland. If you make noise, they say come work in the farmland. If you are asking you what you want to be in future, and you said you want to be a farmer, you become an object of mockery. If you write JAMB in the university and you don't get the cutoff point, the dumping ground becomes agricultural department. In fact, it is so bad to an extent that if I meet your sister and tell your sister that I want to marry her, and she asked me, who are you? I said, I'm a graduate. Your sister says, graduate of which course? I says, I studied crop science. You know, there is this instinct in your sister that she is now an Akalamada woman because a crop scientist graduate is getting attracted to her. Why? Somebody has created an education system that traps the youth full energy and victimize food production, which is the only source of independence of a nation. An African youth is trying to force himself away from the land that the whole world is forcing themselves into. When you hear the Bible speaking and says that I have seen a great evil upon this earth, that princes are trekking upon the land and slaves are riding upon horses. Those slaves are the white man. Those princes are Africans. So the prince of Africans are trekking upon the wealth, looking for money in the sky. And the white man is riding upon horses, looking for money on your land that your eye has been taken away from. The money is on the land. Our assignment is to go to harvest the oil, the money from our land. Africa is endowed with these resources. But an African man has taken his eyes away from his life reality, his life gifts, his life natural endowment. And so Light of Africa have risen to return African youth back to this instinct of cultural survival. That a man can stand and watch me and says, I'm a member of Light of African Renaissance. It doesn't matter how much dollar is in the market or how much oil is in the market. Food will be in saturation in my house. I don't care how much there is a liter of fuel. Tinubu can do all he wants to do. My family will never run out of food. That is the day that you will know that you are a man of Renaissance. And that's why if I get in my WhatsApp school, although the WhatsApp school registration has paused now, but we will begin the WhatsApp school next year for those who want to join us. Now is the time to work. And in this particular place, we are farming over 400 plots of land, both right and left. And the work has been ongoing for more than a month now. All we are doing is we must return back the heritage of the lost African man that we have lost, and bring African people to the instinct of natural survival, which is independence. An African man who is well fed and saturated will never be pressured to go outside the country. Now today you see an African youth, you say come and farm, he says it's a local job. And then the man do visa and go to Canada. And then the man carry this certificate of chemical engineering and come to look for job. They say, sir, where do you study? It says chemical engineering. Say, wow, can I see a certificate? They look at it and they see Nnamdi Azikiwe University. They say, I can't imagine. Keep this thing one side. We don't use certificate of Nigeria here to work. The man says, okay, if my certificate can fetch me a job, what again can I do? They say, we have an apple farm there, we have a palm tree farm there, we have a cocoa farm there, and I show you different farms where you can work. Before you know, if you see the same Nigerian person that studied chemical engineering in Nigeria, now say he can't do farm work, have to buy neighbor and work cocoa now, or they mark on and at the end, they are paying the idiot. Now says he cannot farm. So he can actually work for farm in another man's land, but can't work his own farm and own it. Because the instinct of the prince has been destroyed, and the slave has ascended the horses and began to ride upon the horse of the prince. The Bible says, I've seen a great evil upon this earth. That the slaves are riding upon horses and kings are trekking upon barefoot. The world is looking upon what you have. The white Bible is a manual of colonization. They have finished doing the work and they knew they have done it perfectly. But I came to restore you, to give you back the instinct of survival. This is the only way. If the whole university student in Nnamdi Azikiwe University can have a farmland, we have 51,000 students. 51,000 students, each of them has 3 plots of land they are producing food. Only Nnamdi Azikiwe University can feed the whole of Anambra State. Who will be talking about how much food is in the market? The instinct of youthful survival has been destroyed. I have come to the then they were taking on my WhatsApp school. Number one, I will make the polygamous man. And you cite her until your woman called you a wicked woman. You are not yet a man. A man who don't get until the woman approach this man, but I'm not have to be care. A man who do. But I will not polygamy can happen now. But the day I meet you, I will coach you and I will bring you into manliness. Thank you so much, God.
You get a book and you get a book and you get a book and you get a book, but you didn't quite get it, did you? Because you went to the sales page here for the 4-hour book by
You're welcome once again to Evangelist Yima Kalu TV, Treasury of Excellent Knowledge. This is part 29 on the topic, Cutting the Serpentine Tongues. And the sub-caption is the slaves on the horse, the princes on their foot. The slaves on the horse, the princes on their foot. It is called aberration, change of destiny. Things walking in the opposite direction, anti-clockwise of people's faith. And it is real. At times, it is called by people's negligence. The princes, the negligence of the princes, or the negligence of the fathers, the ancestors of the princes, in addition to the cleverness of the slaves, or the fathers or ancestors of the slaves. So, when the princes are careless, the slaves who are clever will come in to occupy their territory, taking over their possession, then misplacing them and replacing them in the positions of authority, hijacking the power of leadership, of rulership, of dominion from them. At times, it is as a result of spiritual forces. When the God of the slaves surpasses the god of the princes. Or perhaps the princes forsake their own god who have made them superior to the slaves. Then they become vulnerable while the slaves take advantage of them. So these things are real. It is called aberration. And it continues to happen. Then relating it to the issue of this video, which I have just played from Ihede. The Africans is regarded here to be the princes, the kings, descendants of the kings. But they are walking on their barefoot, while the slaves who are regarded in this video to be the Europeans are riding on the horses. And he explained something very, very focal, and that is the Africans living in their own land without knowing the value of the resources they have. While they are looking to make money and become great somewhere else, other places, the places they are traveling to, running to, looking at, people, the inhabitants of those lands, are rushing into their own land, Africa, to exploit the mineral resources, the resources of Africa, including taking Africans for slavery. So the thing that prompted me to come to make this video and to debunk the tongue of that serpent in Ihede concerning this video is him quoting the Bible, that the Bible is a tool of slavery which the Europeans use to deceive the Africans and to continue to exploit the Africans. That is the reason I have come to debunk the trash. He also made mention of the Africans going back to their polygamous roots. And as you can see the book. When I flashed it on the video, when I have been flashing it on the video, this is polygamy and its problems. Our forefathers introduced polygamy to us, but they never told us the problems of polygamy. And Ihede and many other African traditionalists are still talking about going back to the system of polygamy. But they are not talking about the problems of polygamy. So that is the reason of me coming to educate people otherwise. It is not about engaging into polygamy, but what about the problems? Can you really withstand the problems? So the princes are walking on their barefoot. It is because those princes have become the Esau type, the types of Esau. And he is the one who made it bare that the Africans do not even know the value of their own resources, including myself. All of us put together, we don't know the value of our own resources. I only know the value of the little that I handle. But I know we have those resources. So, that is the key problem. That is the key problem. The inability of the ancient Africans to recognize the value of their own resources. To start with, even most of our forefathers never knew we have crude oil in our own ground. It is the Westerners, the Europeans, the Americans, and the rest of them that came to discover the oil under their own ground. What are they doing? He is talking about agriculture, 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 agriculture. Agriculture is very, very good, but it is not the only thing we need. Do you see where he misses it? Our forefathers, we are just harvesting their agricultural produce, feeding their families, having multiple children. After that, what else? And according to him and most of them, it is by polygamy we will have number of people to withstand, to protect our territorial integrity and to withstand any set of invader. But our fathers, in the old days, they could not withstand, they could not protect their territorial integrity. They could not withstand the Europeans. Why? Because after knowing the agriculture, what else? They never knew much about technology. That is the reason they were not able to produce their own jet fighters. They were not able to produce their own ammunition to protect themselves, which will be the biggest threat to the invaders whenever they know that these people are ready. And in fact, there will be no way for them to enter into our territory without our permission in the first place. And if they should come, they will come based on our consent, and we give them the condition with which they will come, and their coming into us will be on the basis of transaction and nothing more. That is how it should be. But due to poor insight, poor knowledge of the African forefathers, these people, we are invading them. It is not because of polygamy or whatever. And to confirm, to affirm that the more, the Westerners who invaded Africa and exploited them, they were not polygamous. Why is it that the fewer people, they were fewer in number then, and they are still fewer in number today, yet they are ruling us? So why is it, if you say it is because we have abandoned polygamy, why is it that those who never have been, who never made polygamy their own tradition, their own culture or whatever, why is it they are fewer in number, yet they are ruling us? Is it because of the number of the people, or is it because of things they have besides the number and the food? So, because Ihede is so myopic, he is just a little boy who is very brilliant in academic way, but he is just a little boy who has not really been exposed to the variety of the happenings of the world, how life works. He has not come to the sense of reality, and that is exactly what I am bringing through this channel, Evangelist Imakalu TV, Treasury of Excellent Knowledge. Here you are. So, our fathers had food. After the food, what else? It is more, that is the high rate of ignorance in the ancient and the modern Africa is the reason we have valuables under our ground, around us, our human potential. We have lots of human potential, but apart from using the human potential for farming, our fathers, we are not able to use it for any other thing as at then. And the same thing is still happening to many of us. Why is it that even the African government do not recognize the value of our resources? But the Westerners, they recognize the value. That is the reason they come, officially and unofficially, they are exploiting us. So it is not really about polygamy or monogamy. And he is lying against the Bible. Bible says, yes, that he had a surprising thing that the princes walking on barefoot while the slaves are riding on the horse. The context there is that there is an aberration going on when the princes, those who have dominion, those who have the authority, even those whom God have anointed, when they are careless, if they are careless, their opportunities, their authorities, their crown, everything, even though they may be in that royal offices, yet they become empty. They begin to see surprises because they have begun to be careless, because they have begun to be carried away, because they have neglected the principles of reality. The secrets of their dominion had been forsaken, and the clever slaves have taken them over. It happened to everybody. Not the Bible says so, not just for Africa, but for humanity as a whole, for everybody. So it is not a racial matter, it is a universal matter. What is the secret of your dominion in your local governing sector? Nwanyị hapụ ihe o ji achọ mma ya obodo kwuo ya ji dịrị ebube nke obodo ahụ agwụlanụ. So how do we sustain the potentials we have? How do we sustain our God-given blessings, our endowments, natural endowments, and material resources? Do we really know the value? That is what these are the things that make us great. But how are we diligent to develop them? Where is the developmental system set up by the African government, set up by the African churches, set up by the African mosque, set up by the African educational system, that is, I mean, academic institution? Yes, he made mention of us still suffering as a result of colonial education. But why you see it that our government are still sustaining that colonial education? So when we talk about freedom, freedom is not just about going back to polygamy. That is not the way out. It is a wrong solution. When a problem is escalating, if you make the mistake of applying the wrong solution, you add problems to the problems on ground rather than bringing the resolution. And you have to go back. You put resources to add, to make the mistake. You have to also lose those resources, add a new resources, and have a new beginning before you begin to apply the real solution. So when we begin to talk about our setback, let us dissect it. Is it monogamy versus polygamy issue? Is that the case? Is that really the case? Because polygamy, most of the time, it's a wrong solution. It's a wrong solution. But the academic sector, if they go and hold your government responsible for them, after having hearing all of this message, they are still docile. They are inactive to remove the colonial, what is it called? Curriculum, the colonial educational curriculum from our academic centers. Then we have to build our own academic curriculum. What I am doing here, what others who are teaching from perspective of reality, what they are teaching, what I am doing here, all these kind of things should form our educational content, not the foreigners. As far as the colonizers still determine our educational content, we can never go out from educational colonization. And hence, we are still inside of that educational colonization. We can never be productive. One of the reasons the Chinese and some other Asians are productive is because they are liberated from colonial education. They form their own educational system, productive education, not just theoretical education. We are still on theoretical education, and that not just theoretical education. It is confusing. It is confusing. We are just go there to recite, to recite the colonial, should I call it the colonial manuals given to us as educational content, educational curriculums. That is all we go to do in the African academic educational institution. So all those things must be changed. Then we talk about other resources. We have gold in Africa, but how many gold refineries do we really have in Africa? We have crude oil. Why is it that we don't have refineries in all of the local communities where the oil wells are located? We have iron ore. How many steel industry are still functioning in Nigeria? All of the resources. Then should we abandon academic education, secular education, and Christian education? The answer is no, because if we don't know it, they'll continue to take advantage of our own ignorance. And that is what they did to our fathers. So in this modern day, it is not just agriculture. Agriculture is good, but man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word which comes out from the mouth of God. And that is the reason God has set me to educate the world. I am not educating only the African, I am educating the world, so that when the world know the truth and acknowledge the truth and begin to live by the truth, that is when we begin to love each other. And that is when we begin to experience that is the wind of peace in our life. And without that, it is impossible. So polygamy has lots of problems in it. It is not just going back to polygamy. Look at the farm ground. The farm ground Ihede was showing us. It is manually cultivated. It is not mechanical. I mean, there is no measure like tractor and all those things. So it is always about physical energy. And if there should be any tractor there, it should be foreign made. It should not be African made. Then what we'll be thinking is, how should we develop our own technological institution where we begin to produce our own machines for all of these things? So some people will thrive, become great in the science and technology, while some become great by agriculture, some become great by educational, by secular education, some become great just like by the grace of God. God is making me great by theological educational system. So God is educating me and using me to educate the world. So that is how it should be. I am speaking from points of reality. Cutting the Serpentine Tongue, part 29. So that what he had just quoted the Bible out of envy, out of annoyance, and not from the context. The context is that God had made everything perfect, and God had made whoever he had chosen to make great, to become great. But the carelessness of the people make the people to lose their greatness. They have lost their favor as salt. Like many Christians are no longer the salt of the nation. Many Christians are no longer the light of the world. Even the world have dimmed their light. It is the world now riding them, influencing them, rather than them influencing the world. That is a part of the kings, of the princes, the peculiar people, the chosen people of God, walking on their barefoot, while the slaves are now. When you can see, that is the slaves, those who are sold out to worldly system, to Satanism. They are the people now controlling the Christian, riding the Christian, even the Christian becoming subordinate and slaves to them in every ramification. Even in the moral value we are talking about, a lot of Christians have lost their moral value, and some do not really understand what it is. So these are the people God is talking about. For example, myself as the evangelist in Imakalo, even though I do not have so much money, but in regard to moral value and the Christian knowledge, the right Christian knowledge, the non-Christians cannot override me in that area. So I am still protecting my dignity, my prestige as a Christian by holding onto the Christian principle regularly, sustaining the Christian value. And by the grace of God, as you know, I am human capital developer with godliness. I am in the business of making people so wise and making them to become valuable, making them to become valuable through moral value from the word of God. Human capital development, that is what I am into. Polygamy and its problem. Don't forget about lust and their problems. Lust and their problem. Lust are one of the reasons. One of the reasons people cannot be contented with what they have. So while seeking desperately to get what they are lusting about, they go into much and more problems. So from here you identify those problems. Then when you problems discovered are problems have solved. So in the future, by the grace of God, I will also bring the book with the title "Living a Contented Life." Living a contented life. So that will be a guide on how to live without lust in your life. So it is when we know the right thing to do, then the next thing is to do the right thing. We begin to see the result. So we begin to see the result immediately. So our greatest problem is the majority of us do not even understand what is the right thing and what is the wrong thing. So they do whatever they feel like doing. They are being driven by their emotion and not by purpose. So, but that is where what I have the chains of captivity, which I have come to break. This is the Olivet prophecy, Matthew 24. Don't forget about it. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word which comes out from the mouth of God. The Olivet prophecy, Matthew 24. That is where you understand Jesus' teaching in regards to the signs of end time. So whatever we are doing in this life, whether as a Christian or a non-Christian, however we live our life, we are accountable to God. May we never forget this. And the books are available in Amazon. These three are available in Amazon. Polygamy and its problems, lust and their problems, the Olivet prophecy, Matthew 24. The three are available in Amazon. Just go through your Amazon, enter the search bar, amazon.co.uk, amazon.com. Go through the search bar. Under the search bar, you see the menus. Enter books. Then from the books, you enter any of the title, or you enter my name. So if any of my books comes out, then beside the book, you see my name. If you click on the name, the three of them will appear together. So you can buy anyone you want to buy. You read. So after, it is not only physical food, intellectual food is very, very important. And some people are being fed with chunks inside of their intellect. So my work is to remove those chunks, to replace them with knowledge of reality. So that is what I am into, and to help you, build you up, to make you wise and make you valuable and marketable. May God bless you. I remain your service servant, evangelist Imaka.